Today we'll be working on a pike shape. So let's go ahead and start out just laying on our backs and taking your legs straight up towards the sky. And take a couple moments here to try to keep your hips on the ground and just compress your thighs to your chest. So it's not a hip lift, it's this idea of reducing the distance between your thighs and your chest and actively pulling your legs in closer and closer to your body while you keep your hips on the ground. And once you've tried that a few times, we'll rock forward to a seat and try a couple of forward folds. So extending the legs out, and you can have your knees bent or your legs straight, but let's focus on this pelvis, okay? So we're looking to create this anterior pelvic tilt where I stick my butt back, and then posterior tilt where I'm taking my tailbone towards my heels. So just before we even fold in, bringing some awareness to the pelvis. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lengthen the spine, reach up, and exhale, fold in. And you might even oscillate between this anterior tilt that I have right now, which is the reason why I'm so far past my toes, and then a posterior pelvic tilt, tailbone towards your heels. And just play around and focus on your pelvis and just notice what the difference is. And if you're sitting there like, I cannot do that, then consider bending your knees or elevating your hips with a pillow or anything, a book, anything else you have handy, and then take a couple moments here to see if you can fold forward and create this compression. Just a few breaths in the forward fold, however long you want, and then let's do a couple of leg lifts. So take your hands about halfway between your thighs, round through your upper back, protract your scapulas, right leg up, left leg up, and just begin to alternate or try to push into your fingers and lift both legs at the same time. And we'll try to do this 10 times. So when you're ready, let's try it out. Again, alternating, you'll do 20, or both legs at the same time, we'll do 10. 9, I'm not even gonna touch my feet down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fold in, lengthen the spine, and exhale, find that forward fold for a couple of breaths. So this idea of compressing your thighs to your chest is again what we're looking for. So before we move towards pike, we'll go ahead and do a standing forward fold and go ahead and come up, and let's just take a couple moments to focus on compressing our thighs to our chest and then fold in. And it doesn't matter where you can reach, but if your hamstrings are really tight, you might bend your knees for a few breaths, maintain the compression, and then work towards straightening your legs and stop at the point where you lose the compression. And just take a couple moments here. This pike shape can be really hard if your hamstrings are tight, so feel free to stay there for a little while. And when you're ready, meet me at the wall. And if you don't have a wall, you could do the same thing on a chair, a stool, couch, anything you have handy. But we'll go ahead and take our feet back to touch the wall and our hands under the shoulders. Round through the upper back. Lift your hips up, connect your thighs and your chest. And instead of walking the legs up the wall, just try to press your butt over your shoulders here. And take a couple moments here. And just like we did before with both legs, or one leg at a time, try to compress your thighs to your chest. Since we're not worried about balance, go ahead and relax your neck. But we'll try to do 10, which is actually 20, okay? When you're ready, it's 10. Compress, thigh to the chest, just alternate legs here. 8, 7, grip into the fingers, push into the index knuckles. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last set of 1. Come down, give your wrists a little bit of love. You might even find that chicken shape, pressing the backs of the hands into the ribs. Okay, we'll work towards hopping the shape. And if you want to move to a spot on the wall, you can move to a spot on the wall, and if you feel comfortable and confident hopping in the middle of the room, then that can always be helpful. So for the first set, we're not even going to try to hold the pike shape. We're just going to work on hopping. And again, you could have your back towards the wall or coming to the middle of the room. I'll demonstrate it first, and then we'll try to do 10 together. So I'm going to start in almost this downward puppy that's really short, okay? So if you notice the distance between my hands and my feet, it's only about 1.5 feet. I'll bend into my knees, push hard into my hands, hop up, try to pull my legs down. And as you go up, you'll notice that the legs want to go up, but we're trying to compress. So pull the thighs in towards the chest, okay? Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that, you could go back to those single leg lifts or double leg lifts or working it at the wall. But if you're ready to get started with me, let's go ahead and do 10 pike hops. And don't worry if you're not getting very high, that doesn't matter at all. Finding a short distance, so about 1.5 feet, or you can of course go longer, but that's going to be a little bit harder. Compress, hop up for 10. And you can always hold it. 9, 8, 7. Try not to resist the hop. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down, give your wrists a little bit of love. If you didn't get 10 in, try a couple of more before we go on. Another way to work this shape is in a forearm stand. So we'll try it first from dolphin pose, okay? So dolphin is just like down dog, except our forearms are on the ground. So I just want my elbows to be shoulder width apart and avoid taking them wide. And part of that is it's gonna force me to engage my pecs, allow me to protract my scapulas a little bit, create that shallow C shape we've been working on here. And mostly it's gonna give me space between my face and the floor, right? Because if my elbows go out to the side, I'm not gonna have a lot of space. So starting in dolphin, lift your hips up high. You can bend your knees if you want, but take the right leg down and forward and then the left leg down and forward. And just feel this action of compressing your thighs to your chest. And instead of taking the leg up, think about pulling the leg down. We'll try this for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down. So just like those leg lifts, it's the same idea here. Let's try it at the wall. So taking your feet back to touch the wall and your elbows directly below your shoulders. Try to hug the upper arms in so you feel your pecs engage. Lift your knees up, take your feet to the height of your hips, press your butt over your shoulders. Take the right leg down, left leg down. We'll just alternate. When you're ready, meet me here. We're gonna do a total of 10, which is really 20. 9, 10 on each side. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, try to push the floor away, 2, and 1, come down, take a moment. Okay, we'll try the same thing hopping. And again, forearm stand has a lower center of gravity, so it's not going to take as much momentum to get up there, so just be careful. And you might consider hopping towards the wall, or again, just easing into it and seeing how much momentum you actually need to get up. So we'll start in that dolphin pose. And go ahead and bend your knees, and you can shorten the dolphin. Connect your thighs in your chest, hop up. I'm trying to pull my thighs towards my chest. So of course you can hold it, okay? Or we'll take 10 hops. So when you're ready, let's give it a shot. Forearms come down, push the floor away. Lift the hips up, compress your thighs to the chest. Let's try 10 hops, or it's a hold for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And if you're working on something like a slow lower, keep in mind that the pike shape is halfway down. So that's a really good shape to work if we're hopping handstand and we're trying to slow lower. So let's say we take a hop up towards our handstand and I want to come down slow. I'm going to compress my thighs to my chest, which will eventually lead me to that toe tap. And then I've got to go back to pike to go all the way back up. So it is halfway between, and it's a really hard spot because with pike, you have to battle to keep your hips over your shoulders. Because as the legs compress, right, thighs to the chest, then it's starting to pull you down. So we have to find that teeter-totter balance in terms of where we can hold. And the same thing applies to something like forearm stand. So if I go up to my forearm stand, I really like to press into forearm stand, then I'm gonna go all the way up, and then I'll bring thighs to the chest, maybe get a little lower, feet hover, and then go back up, right? So it's this halfway point where I have to battle to keep the hips over the shoulders. And working on your forward fold, focusing on creating this anterior pelvic tilt, and just the body awareness to notice what the difference is, working on your single leg lifts or your double leg lifts, seated, can all be really helpful ways of doing it. And we'll do one more thing at the wall, or you can put your feet on your couch if you want it. Taking the legs up the wall. And I'm not gonna do anything extreme and get really close, just wherever it feels good. But the same position of my hands. And notice that I'm not rounding and leaning back. I'm lifting up here, leading with my chest, trying to cultivate that anterior pelvic tilt as I compress right thigh and the left thigh. So if you want to join me, we'll do a total of 10 on each leg, or it could be both legs for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Make your way to Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together. Take a couple breaths here, a little butterfly action, or possibly walking your hands forward. Pike is a really challenging shape, but it is almost its own gateway in terms of working compression and slowly lowering to go back up. That kind of thing also applies to something like crow, right? To handstand, I'm gonna go up, I'll go all the way up, compress, and then come back down, right? So that would be almost a bent leg variation, add bent arms to straight arms, but it's this compression and this halfway point that can be really helpful when working handstand. So often we feel like handstand is just straight up and down, and sure, it's straight up and down, but there's so many variations, and you might find one variation a lot easier than the other. So if you like the video, tell your friends. We are taking donations for our super small local business. If you want to do that, it's on the website. And otherwise, if you have any questions or requests, let me know.